Hello, Cord Dugan from FSM Labs. Today what I'd like to show you is the Skymap feature of the TimeKeeper hardware and software. It's useful for debugging GPS antenna installation problems, interference, jamming, and so on. Here what we're looking at is the GPS tab and the signal strength sub-tab in our GUI, and this represents the GPS satellite reception signal quality and strength across the sky. Here we have a strength bar, and we can see that most of the region is doing pretty well, and we have a small section here where we're seeing some signal being blocked. Now, imagine that this is a view looking straight up at the sky with your head at the antenna. So up is to the north, down is to the south. To the left is the east, and to the right is the west. Might seem reversed, but remember, you're at the antenna looking straight up at the sky. So here I have placed the antenna at one of the colo facilities that we use on the southwest corner of the building in the parking lot next to a potted plant so that I could get the building to block the signal and show that here. And that's exactly what we see off to the northeast where the building is, lower signal strength. Now here we see the white satellite tracks. You can see them with the cursor here. What those are is the tracks of each satellite as it goes through its orbit. And you can see that multiple satellites pass through any given region at a time. And they follow very clear and precise orbits. Now to the north, you'll see there are no satellites being tracked. That's because none of these satellites go over the north or the south pole. This is also one of the reasons that we recommend when you have to make a trade-off of northern exposure, southern exposure for your GPS satellite, your GPS antenna, that in the northern hemisphere you err on the side of getting more view to the south. And that's because there are no satellites to the north to view towards the pole. So here I've switched to the antenna location tab. This will let me see where is the GPS antenna, what's around it, and that sort of thing with some Google Maps style mapping tools. So here what I can do is I can just zoom out. We can see we are on the southwest side of the building, as I mentioned, and we're right there at the entrance in the parking lot. That's because that's where I placed the antenna. I have not put it up on the roof with our other antennas because I wanted to be able to block some of the signal. So here we're going to take a look at the satellite view, and we can actually see that there we are right in the parking lot. We can zoom in on that. However, let's get a larger view of the map by clicking on larger view. Now here we have that larger view, and we can see exactly where we are. If we zoom in, we can see we're right next to one of those potted plants outside, which is right where I put the antenna. There's quite a bit of detail here in just a few minutes with an antenna that you may have not installed yourself. You may have had remote hands or a colo facility install them. We often run across customers who don't own the antenna infrastructure. The people that they're talking to that have put in the antenna infrastructure can't really answer their questions. Our tools will let you answer those questions and assist them in fixing their antenna installs occasionally, or at least validating that things are working correctly. So I mentioned that it's off to the northeast. We could see that with the building, but let's get a 3D view. We can see, yes indeed. We can move it around as well. We go through this, and also one of our other antennas is blocked by this sign here, and we've seen that before. We can move around. We can see that indeed that is what's blocking our signal, and we can come over here to the other side of the building and see that we're being blocked a little to this side and this side. This is helpful for any kind of antenna installation, especially in large cities where there are buildings everywhere. Now, TimeKeeper will alert and detect when something's changed, if a new source of interference appears, or a new, stronger, unlikely to be valid GPS source, that is, a spoof attack. We can flag an alert and let you know that that happens also. Now here I have an animated view of what I just showed you. That is, every 15 minutes, getting a sample and showing you what happens over time. This lets you understand what is happening to your GPS signal throughout the day. So here, we can see that the satellite tracks are moving along, and I've placed this antenna between two buildings, so to the east and the west you can see the signal's blocked, and during the day-night cycles, and as things heat and cool and interference comes and goes, you can see the one off to the right, the west, gets stronger and weaker. That's typical as the atmosphere changes throughout the day-night cycle, and things heat up and cool down, and normal daily activities, lights being turned on and off, interfere or stop interfering with the signal.